This is The Real Gig with Bret Alexander.
AJ Jump, Arthur, I've been waiting to have you on, pal. This is, yeah, but well, we're sitting here getting ready. You already talked about two things that we probably should. In a lot of ways, you're kind of part of the origin story of me doing a podcast, because I don't know how many times we sit around in sessions or whatever and said, this should be a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just did it with Joe Burke this weekend. We were
Really?
sitting at my
I got to have Joe on.
And it was like, yeah, what we're talking about here, this could be a podcast.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
So now we've finally done it. Much to unpack. I want to do 2 episodes today. And the first one, we're going to talk about a lot of the music stuff and then, where you got going, how you got started, where we intersect. And then I also want to talk about your other side of things, with promoting shows. And we'll probably, we don't have any plan, but that's kind of the first episode will be the origin story stuff. And the second one, we'll get more into the greater business, macro stuff that you do. And which I'm sure you have lots of stuff to say about. So we'll start at the beginning. Just kind of, from my knowledge, are you from a musical family? Not really, right? Your mom and dad, or
No, not my mom and dad. My extended family. So on my dad's side, his mother was a Strauss. There was a violinist, distant, German.
Yeah.
On my mom's side, her mother's brothers and sisters, some of them were, just would sing at parties, play at parties. And 2 of their different children became music teachers. And then 2 of their other children were, just in cover bands, things of that nature. Always loved music, but no one in my immediate family. I'm sort of the black sheep as usual. And,
my immediate family, same thing. It really wasn't same thing. Extended family, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But my immediate surroundings, there wasn't a musician in there. So I had on Nike and I had on Jeremy Hummel, and each one of them had a pretty cool story as to, okay, how did it happen that this is what I want to do? Like Jeremy had the story of, he was at a party when he was like 3 years old, and they were passing around the gifts that kid whose birthday it was, and one of them was a drum, and it got to him and he wouldn't give it back. That was one of his stories. And Nike dreamt of a violin and went and woke his parents up and said he wanted it, things like that.
Wow.
So my story's less interesting maybe, but actually no, it's a good one. But I'll let you tell yours. You're here. I'll have you on as a guest.
Yeah, really, I remember it vividly. My sister, 4th grade comes. In the Catholic school system at that time, 4th grade, you were able to choose an instrument. The band teacher from the high school would come every week to all the other feeder schools, all the other Catholic schools, and give you lessons, so to speak. And then you would join the concert band when you were in 4th and 5th grade, and then 6th and 7th. So my sister decided to play the clarinet, so she played the clarinet 4th, 5th, and I think 6th grade. And I don't know if it was when she was in 5th grade or 6th grade. They were practicing, they were rehearsing for the Christmas or the spring concert, one of them. And I went in to get her. My mom was outside waiting in the car, and I went in to get her. And one of the neighborhood kids was in this side room, like the drum room, and in the band room. There's always the drum room to store everything. They had the drum kit set up in there, and they were playing the drum kit after the rehearsal.
After the rehearsal.
Because some of the concert band stuff was more snare drum, bass drum, cymbals, and they were messing around. And I see the neighborhood kid who when you're the younger person, there's always those people around oh, he's cool, or
right.
Him with the BMX bike, and oh, he's got a cool bike. I want that bike too, So, same thing, oh, yeah, he's playing the drums. I'm like, those drums are cool.
Those are neat.
I like those drums. And it just like, that was the aha moment. And yeah, I was like, I think I was in either I was in third grade. So that would make sense. And I was going into fourth grade, and then I chose the drums.
Nine,
I was like,
9 years old, somewhere around there.
Yeah, 10, I think.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, 9 or 10. And yeah, it was just like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And it just called to me. It chose me. I didn't, like, no one said, what would you like to play? Or what? I was like, I want to play that. And I remember being talked out of it in a way. Like, well, you don't get to start on that. I was like, I don't care. I'm going to get to that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's this pad and you have to, well, so what? Like,
okay.
And then fast forward a few months later, another neighborhood kid, but like only a year older than me, he had a drum set. And like, so I would be hanging out and he didn't really know how to play it.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, why don't we go down in your basement?
Yeah.
And like, so I would be, and I think he would get kind of annoyed because like it was his drum kit. And then I'd be like sitting there, like working things out, 4th, 5th grade, like just messing around and loving every second of it. And I'm like, man, now how do I get this? I need one of these things. I need
one of these things so I don't have to go bother my
exactly.
Friends.
And then it took about a year coaxing my, between my parents and my Nana. And then, my Nana, she wanted to buy the drum kit for me. And I actually, it's pretty wild. Got my drum kit at Rock Street Music.
Really?
Yeah. And the stamp on it says 1988. So it was stamped. Like when it came in, Rock Street Music had the stamp, and we purchased it in 95. So it was like, that's par for the course. Sometimes, things hang around in stock, but like still to this day, I just bought a bunch of drums. I just bought a complete suit drum kit with 3 different toms, 2 different floor toms, 2 different bass drums, and a snare drum, and like started selling off all my other stuff. And this is going to be my drum kit. And I bought it all through Rock Street still,
yeah.
To this day. And it's like, they've been a Tama dealer forever. And I thought, well, yeah, why not go through those guys still? So it's kind of funny how like, I've been back and then circled back here. I've been around a lot of cool different drum stores and this and that, but I thought, well, these are the Tama guys. I'm gonna buy the drum kit.
That's the thing that younger musicians should realize, is that so many of the people and the places in the, I don't even want to say connections, friends, network, you keep them throughout your whole life. I mean, we still know, when we play bigger shows, still get a Rock Street PA.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? We play clubs that the Rock Street installed the systems. They run sound for us sometimes. These are guys since you were a child. And so many of them were a farm team for guys that went out now and are working with, way heavy hitters.
I mean, Brian Moran.
Brian Moran, the guys I've lost track of. Mo stayed in the business, right?
I'm not sure.
Really? I haven't seen him in years, but Brian, yeah.
I see him from time to time in the gig that I do now,
yeah.
And then like, I'm like, oh, what are you off the road? Yeah, I just figured I'd get some hours here in the Union and fill in, like, because those guys coming in and out, like some of them are, have their union cards but like, yeah, I mean, even now I think about it, it's funny, like, I see these people. I just saw Paul Miorelli at Briggs when we played Briggs, and I was like, I said to my aunt and uncle and my wife, I'm like, I've been working with him for 20 years.
20 years.
And I'm only 41, and I thought and I remember when I was younger, he used to say to me, like, I'm always seeing you, like, what's your deal? You're playing with everyone. And it's like, well, yeah, when you're younger, you're hungry, you're just hustling. And I'm a drummer. I don't sing. I can't play acoustic guitar or piano in a corner and sing. So like, I always had to be hustling that way. But yeah, it's funny how now, like, full circle, I'm like, now I'm not, I keep saying I'm on the back half of being young.
Sure.
I'm not an old guy, but like that sort of thing isn't as, like, there's not a lot of people my age out there, like regionally at least, like playing in a bunch of different like original bands and filling in cover situations where they'll be working with a sound guy that often.
Yeah.
That's like changed. You know?
Yeah. In a corner with a PA on sticks.
Exactly. You bring your own.
Brought your own.
Yeah. And I mean, this could go into a whole other thing, but yeah, it's kind of interesting that I made more money back then playing live.
Yeah.
To now, it depends. Like, every tax quarter, it seems like, there'll be a great gig that comes along, and it's much different than it was back then. But then back then it was more consistent. You had a sound person, you played an actual stage.
Yeah.
People were just used to it. They were around, and you went out, there was a live band, and that live band had a sound guy, and they played on a stage. And now it's just, so much different.
But I know I couldn't really ever figure it out, like, because I transplanted up to Northeast PA, and I talk about, the smaller market that we live in here. Mm-hmm. This is more central PA, but Northeast PA was, I always said it really fights above its weight as far as the musicians that are, first of all, the players that are around. There's a lot of them, and I can't figure out, like, do they grow up with all that music from the bazaars, going to church bazaars, or like I don't know why there's for the size of the population and the size of the place, it's such an outsized amount of music up there. I mean, that was because the only guy in our band that was sort of from the area was Ron. Mm-hmm. Ron was from McAdoo, Hazleton area. Mm-hmm. So he said, we got to get up into Northeast PA. Because we were living down here at the time. We got to get up into Northeast PA because there's music everywhere, in these little coal towns. And there was. And you could go see a band. Now you can't, now. But you could go see a band 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week, somewhere.
I mean, in the year 2009.
In this little tiny place. I mean,
I used to say I play 8 nights a week because on Sundays, sometimes I'd play an afternoon gig and an evening gig. And then that turned into, I remember the only night I ever had off was a Tuesday night because one of the particular bars just had, my buddies would play their acoustic, Old Time Charlie's. But then, like, every other night, like, it's like, well, yeah, the Tuesday night is the acoustic night, so I would go and drink and hang out. But then, like, Monday used to be the biggest night. Remember the River Street Ale House? That was like, people would be like, I hate Mondays. I'm like, I, in fact, love Mondays.
Yeah.
Mondays and Thursdays were, like, my favorite. They were the best gig nights. It just was what it was. And Thursday nights usually was either music on the menu, which started. That was in
that Plains or whatever, I forget the name.
Yeah, at the waterfront. So when Alan started that, it was at the waterfront, then it went to the Woodlands, and that was always amazing to think about too. Like, you got to play live on the radio, and you were welcome to play your own music.
Yeah, on the radio.
And to your point, when I was living in Eugene, Oregon, which was only 7-8 years ago now, it was head scratching to me. There were so many places to play. There was a lot of the true kind of punk rock thing. Still, that vein was still there, coming down from the Seattle and all of that. But like, reggae, bluegrass, and funk were really kind of big in that region too. And they have this thing called the Oregon Fair, which isn't a fair at all. It's a music festival out in Veneta in the middle of the woods. And it was like kind of one of the like ideas of like Bonnaroo, like this, it predates Bonnaroo and all that. And it's like just this crazy hippie fest in the middle of the woods. Everything's kind of very DIY, and it's pretty amazing to say the least. But anyway, it's so music centric and so like, and I have some very great friends from out there who are incredible players, but there wasn't as many in a population of 180,000, 200,000, somewhere around there, as there was here. And even like they had like a weekly Grateful Dead night there, and it was cool, but it wasn't like Kyle's here.
No.
You know, and it like, so everything was kind of like, you know, and their regional,
much bigger place.
yeah, it's a bigger place, and like their regional bluegrass jamgrass band was good, but it wasn't Cabinet.
Yeah.
And like, so I kept seeing like this sort of thing, and I'm like, man, if I was able to bring some of our people out here, we could like mull this all over and really
rule.
Yeah, and not and again, there were some great. My buddy Tim, incredible guitar player, educator, trumpet player, songwriter. You know, him and I. It was like you and I. We had a, you know, just a great relationship because of music, and we played a lot of gigs together, a lot of different styles too. And it, you know, there was, again, some great people, but it wasn't like the same as like, you know, again in 2008 to 2012 here, there were so many original bands, like too many. Now, when I was there were two particularly exceptional, like if there were traditional record deals, these two should be signed. Period.
Sure.
Playing, and one of them sort of was, but it was through a more indie sort of situation, and they did some touring, and then they kind of just went away. But you know, yeah, I couldn't agree with you anymore. This area has some of the best of the best. The only thing I would say to combat that is there is all this talent. But then there's also a sense of you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, because then they sort of never, some, not all, never went outside of that realm or never really got in the van and toured, or then like when they get to this situation where it like starts getting real and there's like, then it's like, they're like a deer in the headlights. Like, well, what is this? Well, why didn't we get paid? Well, and when I was doing Carl Hall, a lot of that sort of stuff came up of like, well, you didn't talk any business with me. Well, we provided you a sound person. We did this. There's backline. It's like, if you traveled around the country like I did, you'd think this would be a palace compared to what you actually get out there. Yeah. And like, you know, not to like skip ahead of something here, but like that was like, you know, like, yeah, again, some great talent here, but then just the little, do you go to New York and Philly and play? Some of the younger, the DIY generation, James Barrett gets out there, does his thing, you know, and they're trying to hustle, and like, you know, Ned Russin, Glitterer, like he, you know, his band Title Fight was huge, and now, you know, and he's doing his project now, Glitterer, which, you know, is nowhere near as big as Title Fight, but you know, they're around, they're playing some solid clubs all through the country. And, you know, guys like that, they could write books on this. They get it. Like, they know how to hustle it. They know.
Motionless in Whites.
There's another one, at
least one of those guys is like Pittston, right?
Oh, Wyoming area. I think.
Area.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, okay, across the river.
Exactly. And, yeah, I mean, good God, they're huge now. They're really big. And then the Menzingers from Scranton and Tiger's Jaw, Ben, great friend of mine. So there has been a lot to come out of this area, but yeah, I mean, and those folks came from a vein of like, getting in the van and hustling it. Yeah. Where then there's other genres that's just not so of a regular thing to do. Mm-hmm. So then when you get to a point you have to go out and do it, it's like, yeah, this is work. You have to drive, and you have to figure out where you're going to stay, and you have to advance all these shows, and it's part of it. So it It really kind of separates, you know, do you want to do this? Because this is also a very big part of it. You don't just like walk out the back of the door of the club and the tour bus is there and the tour manager is there and they're saying, come on in. Like, you know this. Yeah.
Well, that was a big thing back in the day when we started getting really close to getting a record deal. I mean, and this is forever ago, decades, but I think it still applies. As I remember the one, I can't remember which label it was. I can't remember if it was the label we signed with, but they said, well, yeah, you guys didn't skip any steps. Mm-hmm. You know, and then that was one of their comments was like, you know, that's why we're interested, because you guys didn't skip any steps. And I had this conversation on a podcast with Paul recently, but he was talking about AI and, you know, all this and where it's going and, you know, just where everything's going, whether it be music or culture or life or whatever. But I was just saying, well, okay, if you don't have anything underneath you, you know, you haven't come up through the struggle, you know, how do you fit? You know, how do you fit? Or like, are you willing to do this work that needs to be done to excel? You know, I mean, if you go into other careers, there's a certain amount of a gauntlet that, you know, whereas you can make a record tomorrow on Reaper or GarageBand or something and put it out and have it all over social media and, you know, get a lot of clicks and likes, but that doesn't make you a vocational musician. No. You know, but I think that people are more interested in skipping steps. Well, I had a guy, two guys come in once that came in to record with me, and I just said, and they were like, they hadn't gigged, hadn't done anything, you know, and they were young guys, and they said, and literally said the words, I said, well, he said, well, you know, how do you get out there? And I said, well, you know, meet everybody in the scene, go to the open jam, you know, if you don't know anybody, go to the open jam, start meeting people, go to the music store, all the things we did. And they just kind of said, yeah, you know, we kind of want to skip over all that, you know, and just go right to.
And people don't realize, like, you can't.
No, you can't.
Fucking America. Could we curse
yeah, we
on
can.
here?
Go ahead.
American Idol really did this country a disservice. I'm sick of it. It's probably been said 1 billion times. Yeah. But I mean, it doesn't work that way. No. And even, I mean, I see it now in my gig now, like, those folks aren't even worth anything to book. Even some of the ones that won the damn show. Yeah. Because it's so far gone. Like, you know, there's
Carrie Underwood and Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson, and then, you know, you have Daughtry.
Yeah, true.
And then the gentleman that's now in Queen. Adam Lambert. Yeah. And then the other gentleman who went on Broadway, you know, he carved out a niche for himself, Clay Aiken. But like, there's not, you know, Ruben Studdard won that particular season. Where's Ruben Studdard? Yeah. The guy was incredible, but like, it doesn't work that way. I went to college with John Stevens. Yeah. I remember someone asking him like, what? And he's like, yeah, you know, you're owned. You have to sign a contract. I can't put anything under my name for so many years. And it's like, you know, it's that sort of thing. Like, you know, you've been doing this for what is almost a lifetime. Yeah. I've been doing it for like, truthfully, professionally, since I was having to deal with it since I was about 15, almost 16. 15 is when, you know, got screwed by a club owner for the first time. So that I considered myself welcome to the business. Yeah. Because I got screwed at the age of 15 by a club owner who took the money.
Paul and I used to have this thing where we said that we judged success by the level of the people that were screwing us. You know, it's like, oh my God, this guy manages, you know, these people manage Madonna. Yeah, we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, we made it. Yeah, exactly. You know,
oh my God, this guy's a manager of Fleetwood Mac. He ripped us off for $15,000. That's awesome. You know, we're really getting somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. There's not a. Yeah, I'm sure it would also take a lifetime to find somebody in this business that didn't have at least one story, like how they got screwed along the way.
All of them.
You know what I mean? It doesn't, and not to be negative about it, but it's just like it's kind of the nature of this business in a way. There's so many different hands in the till.
What's that? The Hunter S. Thompson quote of like, music business is a shallow money trench where good men die like dogs. He said there's also a negative side. Notice I basically have that quote memorized. You know,
Yeah.
I've read it so many times.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson. You know, and it's just, I remember him talking about it. He says it's like a cartel or something. You know, it's a mess.
It is a mess, and now more than ever, right? It's the Wild West. Like when you guys were in it, there was this massive like Scrooge McDuck pile of money that they could just go and take from, and expense from and everything. Where like there was if you were good, you had a fighting chance.
Yeah,
but you also know there was several acts that did get signed, they weren't that good.
They weren't that good, or there's other ones that are very good that don't get signed. There's other ones that are very good that the record never comes out. They do get signed.
Shelved. Yeah.
And I remember we were recording up in Bearsville, and our engineer producer guy Joe Alexander, no relation, but he was recording, and we started getting word about the merger. Like, so basically, it was like the genesis of Universal Music. That everybody in the music business knows that. But that was, like Polygram was being merged with all these labels, and they were shutting down all these. I mean, just this huge thing. And I remember saying to Joe, and Joe was like an older guy, had a studio in Philly called K-Gems. Came up through, Boyz II Men, Will Smith, Cinderella, Queensryche, like all these sort of wide swath of styles that all came through his place. And I remember him saying, I said, man, wouldn't it be, after all this work we did, wouldn't it be something if this album didn't come out, He's like, I got a closet full of them, So, of that exact scenario. So,
yeah.
And it did come out eventually, but it didn't come out where it was being made.
Where it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Now, was that your third?
It was that was, I don't know how many albums. It was probably 4 or 5 albums in, counting the indie stuff, but it was our second major label.
Okay.
So it was, so that was a situation where he's like, I got a closet full of them, that this could very possibly not come out.
Yeah. And now it's like, you gotta build the whole house, finance everything yourself, and then ask to live in it. Yeah. I mean, what is, it's funny, like that term, like music business now, like I think it's really shifted. This has come up quite a bit lately, where you used to tour because you made an album. Now you make an album in order to tour. New product, new songs, keep pushing it out there. People, if you have those fans at the bottom of the funnel, you want them to be excited about something new. And then, you see some legacy acts that are still, I just got to see Fishbone a few weeks ago, which was unbelievable. And they have so many people still at the bottom of that funnel. I mean, Angelo Moore is a god. I mean, one of the greatest frontmen of all time. And talk about being screwed in the music business and, being shuffled around and not understood, and a whole other subset of, tensions within, like, what do we do with this urban band, quote unquote? It was like they were, a ska DIY band. What do you mean urban? Like, just because they were black playing music like that, like, like the business, like, completely misunderstood them, but they knew there was something there, so they had to like corner them because they wanted a piece of that. Like, they have everything else, but anyway, you look at that, and they're just, he's still running around the country. He's still able to, make a living doing it. Probably not what some people think is like, I'm sure he doesn't have a mansion anywhere, and he's able to eat, he's able to feed himself. His daughter was the merch person, and then she came on stage and sang too,
Sure.
which was really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I mean, and they were such good, positive people, and super pumped, and I mean, I guess there's worse places to be at, right?
Yeah.
Like all that shellacking that you took by those said business folks and everything, and over the lifetime, you still carved out a place in this world, that he will, and that band will live forever. And they've been, like we were talking before, the cameras started rolling. They're one of the bands that like paved the way for this like forward, sort of thinking movement where no one else was sort of like that before.
They didn't know where to put it at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Or not exactly where to put it anyway,
Mm-hmm.
generally.
Yeah, and they paved the way for much of that scene, and
the second mouse gets the cheese.
There you go. Yeah, but yet, I heard a quote earlier this week that like resonated to me sort of now more than ever, speaking of the music business and everything, but be yourself, because everybody else is already taken.
Sure.
And it's like, these folks that were always that and never had a thought of like being like, those people where it's like, oh, this guy's that guy. Oh, this guy is the John Prine guy. This girl's the, Tammy Wynette girl, or like sounding like those artists and wanting to be those artists. Where some of these other folks, they were never even worried about that.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like, I don't know, I felt that the drums chose me.
Sure.
I didn't, no one like influenced me to like play them. I just was like, this is what I'm going to do. Where like, there's some of these people in history where it's like, that's who they were. Sure. They were never trying to be anything other than like themselves and just that.
Sure.
And,
I mean, take that back to Beethoven, or
yes.
and way before,
Yeah.
It's just like, I think they were just doing their thing. And, there's, as you're talking, I thought of three things, I got to try to get them all trying to get out the door at the same time, but it was, basically, man, just lost my train of thought. But I was thinking what you were saying about these bands just kind of doing their thing. They're just kind of doing this, it's not like, basically it's like a thing they're doing and no one's really put a frame around it yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it can't be understood by a whole bunch of people. And that's really kind of the best. Yeah. In a way, like if you're there for something that nobody's found and it's just this pure thing. And it really, I've seen interviews with John Lennon saying his favorite period of the Beatles was the Cavern Club days, like before they became famous. Mm-hmm. He said, because by the time we were just repeating it, like we built the whole thing then, and I saw another interview with Henry Rollins, and they were talking about Green Day. And I thought it was pretty cool what he said. He said, well, really, they're really playing kind of an older style of punk, really, from an early, this is a while ago, when they were a fairly new band. Mm-hmm. He said, they're really kind of playing this older style. I don't really begrudge them because they're doing well with it. I think that they just generate it. Sure. More or less, this is what they did, and block timing, the world just kind of turned around and came, in a big way that was much bigger than Black Flag. Yeah. But I can't really, one of my favorite books is this book, You Can't Go Home Again, Thomas Wolfe. I mean, it's my favorite book. And he had a section, and a lot of it about being an artist, mm-hmm. And he was saying, you don't really, selling out isn't getting written a big check, that's not selling out, selling out is shadow boxing. Shadow is like, if you're not going to be yourself, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it, and I'm going to filter it this way so I can, I'm looking out instead of, I'm going outside in instead of inside out. Yep. you know, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I don't really begrudge bands that became really huge on the backs of somebody else.
No, because there always had to have been somebody first. And I'm not, I guess I wasn't saying it. I was just saying it's interesting that like those first folks always end up prevailing no matter what in history, whether it's like later on when they've passed but they've done something. By being, you know, just themselves, and that other influence, you know, with things that came after, you know, it's all there. You know, people do come from somebody or something. But I guess what I'm saying, not to get too far away, but like where, like there's that hard line of where like in the 60s where like jazz was huge. And then the Beatles. And it's like, how it went from that to that. Where, you know what I mean? Like that was like Miles Davis Kind of Blue was a popular record. And then next thing you know, it's the Beatles, like within a few years. And it's like, how did it just go whoosh? And there's those, you know, there's those moments in time where that happens. Like, you know, when grunge was blowing up, so was hip hop. Like huge, like
enormous.
Snoop and Dre and Nirvana and Pearl Jam. And it was just like bigger than life. And, you know, those two things, they had the same sort of attitudes, but they weren't like, but that was like sort of parallel. Like jazz, that whole jazz era was for years like the thing. And then it was just like this. Like, and I know country was in there, but country wasn't as like prominent, you know. It wasn't, even though when the Beatles came out, they were doing, you know, Buck Owens covers.
Buck Owens, Act Naturally, Honey Don't, all these songs. Buddy Holly.
And look at that. Like the biggest band in the world, they were sort of emulating other things, and then they became who they were later on, which, you know, that's, you learn from somebody something, you know. I mean, some people are self-taught, and I wasn't self-taught. But, you know, I mean, you are influenced, but then it's the voice that you become, you know. And I think that those type of folks, you know, like you were referring to Green Day, they are their own sauce, though, so to speak. Even though Rollins could pinpoint, okay, they're doing this older style, but it's still, they have their own voice. You know what I mean? Like Green Day they've concreted themselves. It was the timing of the business, but then like, you know, they were enough of themselves to become something. You know, as opposed to like Green Day sounding exactly like, you know, Black Flag, like you said, or the Misfits. It's like, well, they're just writing these simple songs. Like, you know, that would have been
And because of those guys, and, you know, guys like that made that style so popular, tons and tons and probably millions of dollars get made on Misfits t-shirts by kids buying them that've never heard a song.
I know. Well,
just for the fashion of it.
Well, look at Warped Tour became a fashion. You know, that whole thing.
Vans and
Hot Topic was like,
that's where it came from.
The Warped Tour store. I mean, like, but I mean,
the music really doesn't get reduced to silliness, you know. I mean, I mean, really, the music doesn't get reduced to silliness. It just comes in and out of fashion. You know, it just becomes too big, and then people revolt against it. You know.
Yeah. Right. Like, well, that's not happening with Taylor Swift right now.
No.
There are people revolting against it, I guess, but just there's so many people that, you know, really like it. And, you know, that could be a discussion that could go on for an hour. I mean, I don't want to sound like an old guy. I don't really understand. I understand the sort of general attraction to it. but
not the mania.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, again, like Michael Jackson, I understood the mania.
Yeah.
Like I did understand that. Like that was seeing that, witnessing it as a little kid, and like seeing some of the stadium stuff on TV and seeing him dance and perform, like that was prolific.
Yeah.
Some of this other stuff that people are saying is incredible. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I try to have an open mind to everything, but I don't understand. Like, what is the attraction here? Is it like, whatever. Again, this is probably said a million times, but like, it just seems like it's been so watered down and diluted to like what the big business pushes out there now.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, is it because some of these artists, like people could hear their vocals clearly?
Yeah.
And understand exactly what they're saying, and so that they could latch on to that and be like, I'm going through this in my life too.
Sure.
But yet, and again, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but then like, is there a point where those people then either mature enough or understand enough that like you were like that was written for that purpose?
Sure.
In order to lure people in generally,
sure,
to make money, and
absolutely
that wasn't necessarily done. It definitely it's always been done, I should say, but like generally speaking, was it? In the early, and there's always been pop music. There's always been that, but it just seems like it's being done. Like you mentioned those gentlemen before wanting to skip steps.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like that's more the point now. Like, no, well, we want to be famous.
Yeah. Sure.
We don't want to be a musician.
Yeah.
Because you and I both know that there's plenty of incredible musicians that are not famous.
Yeah.
But I think that's the point. Everybody wants to be famous now. They don't care how they get there.
Yeah.
Like that's the more attractive thing, to where like when I was coming up, it was like, what drum set is that guy playing? What's going on here? Like I remember watching the music videos being like, where's Anthony Kiedis running?
Yeah, yeah. Where's he going?
Is he going to that bridge downtown? and sitting there like thinking it this way, not like, oh man, I want to be famous. Like it just seems like now the whole attraction is like the fame of it.
Yeah.
Where, and then when you were young, like, it was like MTV was like, when you were in high school, MTV was like how old then?
Not that old at all.
Yeah, like only like within a few years probably.
Yeah, I mean, when we were kids, if somebody was putting out a video on a Tuesday night, that was an event.
Oh, sure.
You ran home from school.
Yeah.
To watch it.
Yeah.
It's just so devalued now, anything like that, whether even music. It's like, people put out a record, they have a new album out.
Yeah.
You hardly even hear about it, sometimes.
But yet for some crazy reason, not crazy reason, but the live concert business is bigger than ever.
Yeah, it is.
So you don't know when people are putting new records out, but yet everybody's got to go see them.
Right, yeah.
And everybody's got to pay $3,000 to $5,000 to $1,000 to, $5,000 to see Oasis fucking play Wonderwall again.
Yeah, right on.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Especially that, like, I don't know. We love Noel. We know that.
Yeah, yeah.
But Liam's been saying some shit, man. Like, that guy's just got to go away. I don't know. That's my, like, there was another time too, right? Like, it's like, you little shit. Like, you don't, what do you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're getting in an SUV after you play. Like, you're acting like a complete, like, debutante.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and you stole everything from the fucking Beatles.
Yeah, you did.
Like, come on. But
Paul McCartney was even dissing him at one point.
Yeah. And yet he's acting like he's on some sort of Mount Rockmore, and
Mount Rockmore, like that.
you know what I mean? Like, what is this? Like, why? But that was always part of that music business, right? Like you had to have that attitude. You had to, like, I heard him in 2017 saying that U2 wasn't rock and roll. Get fucked.
Yeah.
He's just like, what is he? Are you kidding me? Like, that's crazy. That's like something a silly like punk kid would say about like Little Richard. It's like, motherfucker, Little Richard was way more punk than you ever were.
yeah, exactly.
You know, but you don't understand it.
Right. Yeah, you don't or do you want to?
Yeah, or exactly. Or do you want to? And it's like there's some of that that's like missing, I guess, too now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I get, okay, some of that is a definite act.
Sure.
You know, him and his like, but like, I mean, we all know that Noel's a pisser. It's hysterical. It says some of the funniest shit ever.
I love that one where they said like the Foo Fighters were playing somewhere, and Dave Grohl announced that he thought this was several years ago, Oasis should get back together, and he started, don't you guys playing at Wembley or something? Don't you people feel that Oasis should get back together? We should start a petition to get Oasis back together. And Noel pipes in the next day and says, I'm starting a petition to get Foo Fighters to break up. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, no. I mean, and that's awesome.
Not that I hate them. It was just the attitude that was wonderful. I just cracked up.
And you know, who am I to sit here and that guy's got millions of dollars and I'm shitting on him, but like, I don't know. Fuck that. Like, I just think that, like, you know, the school that we come from, you know, I don't know. I guess some of that is again like the old school lore of being a rock star and that sort of thing, which I never liked.
No.
I mean, now I'm like, man, you see Vince Neil or I mean, it's just like, what is this guy doing? Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, or somebody like well, I mean, Slash is still doing his thing, but his other buddy, Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose. I mean, oh my God, it's like, what is he doing? Like, know when to cut it off. Like, know when to stop. Like, this is who wants to see that? You know,
there are a lot of people want to see that. I mean, like, obviously they want to. I mean, they're selling out stadiums or whatever, whatever level that they are. They're not having trouble selling tickets, are they? Maybe now.
I mean, you saw
2 years
the
ago.
Black Sabbath thing. He sounded terrible.
But I'm not saying he sounds good.
Yeah, but people are still. There's
still demand, and really, over a couple albums. I mean, if you take like the Black Crowes or somebody like that, they've been creating and making all these albums all the way through.
Yeah.
And side projects.
Yeah.
You know, that's the difference between the musician and the brand.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it's obviously it's an insanely durable brand. You know, I mean, like Guns N' Roses. People want to hear Mr. Brownstone.
Hey man, I mean,
you know, over and over again, and if I was in their shoes, and I couldn't sing anymore or whatever the case may be, you know, try to figure something out.
Yeah, and I get that. I mean, hey, Use Your Illusions is incredible.
Yes, it is.
You know, I all that stuff. I'm not, and again, but it's like that when you get to that certain point of like, know when to stop. Like Vince Neil doesn't even. He doesn't even sing a lyric anymore. Yeah. You know, he's up there, it's all piped in, and he's not even that old, which is sad. No. You know, because I saw Frankie Valli not too long ago, and it was like, whoa.
Rough.
Wow.
Yeah,
the band was incredible.
Yeah,
the band was incredible. But there it's just like just push it on out there. Yeah. And that's tough to see too, because I don't know, like and yet, there's people that will pay for that, but like, and some sort of knew that he wasn't singing. Yeah. So I don't get.
I don't think they care.
And then that could turn into a whole conversation where these tribute acts have gone.
Sure.
Selling out theaters. being somebody else, you know, completely. And yeah, it's part of a business, and yeah, to see the actual band that's not even really that good anymore, you're going to pay $1,000, but to see the tribute act that has honed it in and sounds better than the original act, you pay $75.
Right. Now, I'll say one thing, and like we've all played, you know, gigs and shows and whatever with a tribute group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a musician for any period of time, sooner or later you're going to do that. Whether it's a serious one that, you know, you have to dress up like Adam Clayton, or it's just somebody playing the music. You know, we've all done that.
Mm-hmm. I've never dressed up.
I have.
I
had never done anything like that until a few years ago when we did the Fleetwood Mac thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never done that in my life. But you know, my only problem with it is the attitude of the tribute bands that feel like they're doing a service to the original artist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like keeping their music out there. Like, to me, that is the biggest bunch of bullshit ever.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that Bono is benefiting as much as you for you getting dressed up with fly glasses on and going out and playing their songs? You know what I mean? Like you're using, you know, you're using their name and I don't have any problem with you doing it.
Yeah.
You know, but you're using their name in a license. You're using all their creative output. They're not even charging you a licensing fee.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're doing it free of charge.
Yeah.
You know, so don't tell me that you're keeping their music alive, because obviously they're big enough that there's about 500 people that want to come see you play their music.
Their music, exactly.
So which is okay.
500, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000,
right.
3,000.
Right.
I just witnessed 3,000, but that was the Grateful Dead. That's a whole other thing. That's almost like jazz in a way.
Sure,
The jam band thing is different. And,
It's not. I said it's fine. I mean, I recorded Beatles music yesterday, you know, and it was great. We had a blast. You know, I love the music. I loved it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it was great. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
No.
Good friends. You know, but kind of the ones that get that attitude of like, I feel like I'm keeping their music alive or something. I'm doing it as a service to the original artist. No, you're not. No.
And you know what? There's like oftentimes some of the folks that I've dealt with in the past that are. You know, and it's like, honestly, it's usually the dress up ones. It's actually, I think it's always the dress up ones. Mm-hmm. It's the ones that are like actually trying to be those other human beings, not just paying homage to their music. Like there's plenty of great bands like that, that do it. And, you know, and the dress up thing, I don't know, in my opinion, it's pretty cheesy. Like, again, like, don't
people like it?
Yeah,
I don't.
People do like it. I mean, and I guess to each his own.
Yeah.
I don't go to church.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel better,
sure,
that's fine.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but if that's something that you could remember, you know, as a kid, you saw the Beatles at X year, or you saw Meatloaf this year, and that could bring you back to this time and place where you were, you know, you felt great, you were really happy. Like that it does a lot of good too, and I understand that. But it's when people then start arguing or thinking that is like something, or when folks are monetizing to a certain point being somebody else.
Sure.
And like, then they think, like you said, like they think they're that somebody, and they start like, it's this weird, like delusional thing that I don't, it's strange, you know? And again, like there's nothing like paying homage to the music. Like, you know, we used to do the Tom Petty Appreciation Band. We still do every now and then, and I'm lucky to play music with those guys, and it's fun music to play.
It's great music.
Yeah, you know, and it's you know, Beatles stuff and all that, but it's just when it goes too far into the realm, I think that's where the wheels start falling off, and
the lines get blurred for some people.
Yeah, and I do get like some people like saying I would rather see the tribute now than the pay to see either no members or one member. I would rather pay my $80 here instead of my,
$5,000.
Yeah, there.
I think that the number one thing that I hear people say is the price of tickets.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing.
It's huge, but yet too, like we were saying too, like I was just talking about, certain set artists that just aren't as good. Where someone was referring to recently, I watched that Billy Joel documentary, and it was fantastic. Yeah. And it's like Billy aged into his music so gracefully. Like it was like the opposite. He was playing music that like, it didn't matter that he was 30 at the time, but then like when he was 65, it's like, oh no. Like, and I guess the turning point was the Hurricane Sandy relief concert is when it exploded even further, where people like there was people taking to the internet. 2012, you could write your opinions and this and that, and there was like a clicker, and people were commenting on all the different people playing, and they were just giving it to some people like, oh my God, this person stinks now. What are they still doing this for? Da, 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 da. And then Billy came on and crushed it. Yeah. And then that spawned the whole residency at Madison Square Garden for 10 years.
I remember that, like that Nights went out on Broadway. Yeah. Like, he was doing that song, and it was like almost prophetic, It was like right after Hurricane Sandy, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And he's killing it, and
and look at like, and think of that as a career too. Yeah. Like the first half of his career, where the music business completely screwed him, money, millions stolen from him,
brothers-in-laws.
Yeah, like I mean, and then just like reinventing himself, and then reinventing himself again at a point. But it was said that like, yeah, he's playing this music now where he doesn't look too old to play it.
No, he doesn't know.
It's like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
For anybody at any age, like that was brought up about Willie Nelson recently. It's like, I'm okay that he's sitting. He could still sing. He is very old now. It is getting towards the end, but he's still singing. He's sitting down. It's like, well, yeah, you don't need Willie Nelson to stand and sing those songs.
I saw B.B. King, and he sat most
exactly, and it was still great.
He was like 10 years younger than Willie.
I saw him. I think it was 2012 or 2013 at the Kirby, maybe right before, like not long before he died.
Yeah,
but it was fantastic.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable, and I mean. That
I think kind of like, as I said, I don't ever plan these podcasts, what we're going to talk about, because this has nothing to do with what I thought we were going to talk about today, which is great. This is like, because I just look at it like what we're kind of saying is, you just don't, you're what you said, be yourself, everybody else is taken, or whatever the quote was.
Yeah.
Be yourself, and then somebody else down the line gets to put a frame around it, or wrap it, put a bow on it, and decide what it is. How many people just kind of discovered the story, the mammoth story that he lived every day. They just discovered Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Through this documentary that's on television. And then they see the whole thing, and then they all sort of know the songs.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But then they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this story. Somebody compiled it. Somebody curated it and made it into a documentary that you could just sit down and enjoy. And you're like, holy shit. This thing was just kind of buzzing in the background in my life, my whole life. I never paid attention to it.
Yeah.
And maybe someday they'll write, maybe somebody will write a story about our basement, and all the music we made down there, you know what I mean? And we make down here, and our whole clan and all the people that came and became whatever, a lot of people that did a lot of things and are doing a lot of things in all these places in every city across the country, and they all have a personality.
Yeah.
And they all have there's a clan, and there's a scene, and they intersect. and you know, and they all kind of come up from the beginning, and that you just carry them all with you, you know, and then somebody comes along at some point and puts it all together and realizes, okay, this is what this is, and this is why this happened. And here's the guy over here that you don't know, or what you don't know about them, that, you know, all you guys should be getting up every friggin' morning and taking friggin' room service to Paul Westerberg's house.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And dropping it on his step.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which we care. Yeah, that's where you and I think we share, you know, the same thoughts on, like, somewhat the tradition of certain things. Not so much to, like, you know, try to make museum music or overdwell on stuff, but like that stuff's important to yourself, to myself.
Sure.
And I think that I like when that lives on. I like when people, you know, say that these certain things were certain factors in their lives, you know, but yet you would never know it. And that's what I meant earlier on in the conversation about being yourself, not trying to be somebody else. That doesn't mean that the influence is like, oh, I heard, like, especially in songwriting too, like, but like you, I can't, like, yeah, I know that you're a fan of John Prine and you love the Beatles and you love Bob Dylan, but like, I would never pigeonhole you and be like, oh, that's your Bob Dylan song, or, oh, because it's still you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a soup.
Yeah.
Stew.
And so, you know, your comment about Paul Westerberg, it's like, yeah, there's swaths of folks that maybe don't even realize that, like, what influenced them actually
came from here.
Came from there. And I mean, well, speaking of Green Day, that is, you know, one of his, Joe Armstrong will say that was like one of his big influences.
Replacements.
Yeah.
Really?
Huge Replacements fan.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so like they're, you know, they're
Goo Goo Dolls, obviously.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many of them, you know, that anybody from the Midwest.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about, you know, changing the subject with him is, like, the cool thing about Paul Westerberg is it wasn't just like, he could be pretty sappy, I mean, like, he could write a ballad, you know, like, he was a songwriter.
Oh yeah.
Just a very drunk one, you know, but he was a songwriter. He had a lot of talent. You know, I mean, obviously to this day has just boatloads of talent. Just didn't really get the payday that a lot of the people that loved him did, you know. But anyway, I mean,
his sauce wasn't as sweet, or it wasn't sweet enough.
The label wasn't red.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, whatever the case, this little twist that makes it happen for somebody else. And but yeah, I mean, but I like that too. And I've had this conversation with Paul. The last 2 podcasts I did was, you know, like, I really like things that have, like, I want to know about the history of it. I want to know about the roots of it.
Yep.
And it's not just because of, as a marketing angle, you know. Yeah. I mean, like, if I go into a session with you, I say, okay, you know, I want this to be Motowny. All right, ding, 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 ding to the drums and the toms, and okay, we need this little kick drum, you know, we need this, and we need this setup, and we need this cymbal, you know, and then, or I say, well, yeah, maybe this is going to be more of like a heavier rock thing. Okay, we're going to get this kit out, we're going to bring this in, we're going to bring this stuff, we're going to play like this, and that's all things that you know because you love all those things. And for a studio musician, which I've said many times on these podcasts, you need that person that has that love of history and can talk about a lot of different styles and the details.
Yeah.
The details of how it happened, what they were using, who the guy was that did this that nobody knows, you know? Mm-hmm. And then all these records are getting played on and nobody knows who they are for all the Motown stuff, for example. And then they do Stand on the Shoulders of Motown. They got all these guys sitting around a table at a bar talking about, did you play on that? Did you play? I don't remember. No, I think that was me. They don't even remember. They don't even remember which one of them's played on these hits. They were making so much music, they can't even remember who played on it.
Well, that's like in some of the stuff we've done in the basement. You tell me, like, 7 or 8 years later, you remember this one? I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't even remember it at all.
They were, you know, I wish they were hits.
Yeah.
I may have remembered that.
They sound great.
Yeah, they sound great. But I, you know, times you're just working, right?
Yeah, you're just working, doing the stuff. And I like being around that. I like being, I mean, that's why I love working with you, because it doesn't matter what it is. You have an opinion about it because you listen to it. Mm-hmm. And I say that over and over again. And I just wonder, I don't know if I can express it kind of like if it's just sort of I don't want to say like a marketing angle, or if it's just kind of like what I have Joe Alexander I mentioned. Joe always had that comment of, he called it a surface effect. Well, I like this. I want this in my song because, I want this in my song because it adds a nice texture, but I have no idea how to use it. Mm-hmm. Or you know what I mean? They just kind of want the surface effect of all these bands that, say, okay, I'm influenced as a drummer. I'm influenced by John Bonham, but they can't play. They only do the heavy hitting part of it. They don't do all the, all the other things that were going on there, underneath. Like, and he was like a Motown fan,
Oh yeah.
That was like, so it was way funkier and way sexier, and you know what I mean? Than just beating on the damn drums in a hallway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you, I think if you don't know your history, you don't know that. And you're only kind of getting this, you're just taking a bite of the icing. You're not getting into the cake, and the cake is where it lasts. Why? Because of all the cake that Billy Joel made, he seems perfectly fine at 70 or however old he is now, playing these songs.
And the funny part is too, like his hill to die on was being a piano player, like this incredibly classically influenced piano player.
Yeah.
That people didn't give him enough credit for because they didn't care. But because he wrote these natural pop songs.
Yeah.
So that he could have played piano like a third less than he was able to. But because he could write those songs, he was just, so it was this like triple threat, a player, a singer, and a songwriter.
And Ballad of Billy the Kid is Aaron Copland.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. It literally is.
Yeah.
Very influenced by that.
It's, well, even like, I forget what song he I believe it was, he gave credit to Beethoven because he stole a Beethoven line for the song. I forget which one it was, but I thought that's incredible. But he gave the credit. Nowadays, you'd have Pat Finnerty out there being like, wait a minute, I've heard this somewhere. And then he would dig and find it and be like, this was this. Like, but Billy actually cited like, hey, I took this from, I believe it was Beethoven, and cited it and then wrote a song around it. And I thought, who the hell did that ever?
Right, yeah.
Like, who the hell ever related classical music to pop sensibility, soft sort of / rock and roll? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his band too. I mean, Liberty DeVito and Richie Cannata, like those guys. That was like more of a rock band.
Yeah.
Like, especially the way like Liberty was a big influence on me. I grew up listening to Billy Joel, and then discovered Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and then Dave Matthews after that. And then that kind of molded me from there, and jazz too. I, listening to, WVIA or Temple Public Radio, Bob Perkins, BP with the GM, Bob Perkins with the good music. He just passed away. One of my favorite, radio personalities, but yeah, not to get too far away here. Like we have this whole last hour, but yeah, I mean, the Billy Joel thing is pretty amazing. But like what you said about the studio side of things is like, I was always, I don't know and again, that was something that I never, I just didn't overthink it. It was like, I just enjoyed that aspect of like, well, what made that sound this way, and like just naturally learning about like, well, how did they get that? Or like you said, like, oh, well, we're going to do a Motown track. Okay. Well, I'm going to tune the toms up higher and, and play with a lighter stick and, play with these kind of cymbals or,
right.
Just because that's that's I don't know. That's how I get my jollies off.
Me too.
You know, and
Yeah.
and that's so much fun to be able to do that in this setting. Like, yeah, playing live is amazing, and it's really neat to like make other people happy and smile and inspire. And then like in here is kind of like, you know, for me at least, it's like I learn, and every time I'm in the studio, I never take it for granted, because it is more of a, you know, it's a place where, you know, something that you could do, you never know, like you said, how further down the line, I mean, somebody 400 years from now can fall upon this stuff and, you know, find it and be like, whoa, what were they doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, all this stuff is being archived.
Sure.
It's all out there, and you know, so that's I'm thankful for that. Even like the hard copy stuff, like all the CDs and even now the vinyl stuff that like I've been a part of is cool. It exists. The kids, you know, my kids are the kids. They're gonna maybe find that, you know, after I'm gone and be like, wow, look at all this stuff. I didn't realize that, you know. And so that's why I think I take it so seriously too, because it's like, you know, we are working, but you know, you want to do that work correctly.
Sure.
If you're going to build a house, you know, you better have a level, you better have a T-square. Like if you don't have these things,
somebody taught you how to use it.
Yeah. Like you have to, you can't bullshit that.
No.
Like if you do, get fucked. Like you shouldn't be involved in this.
Yeah.
Because your house is gonna suck.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna frame a house without a level, a T-square, like get the fuck out of here. You know?
Right,
like I don't like. How could you think you could do that? It's not gonna sound good.
Well,
you know, like
the internet told you.
Exactly. If the bones of it suck, it's gonna suck. And how many times have you and Paul done a session where you're like, yeah. And then of course, like the computers, like fixing things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can fix certain things, but you know, oh yeah, well we can fix it. It's like, no, you can't. You got to play that again.
Yeah.
You're not fixing 18 things. You can fix 1, 2, maybe 3 things.
Maybe. Yeah.
But like you're talking about like fixing it to make you sound like you could actually do this, so you could put it out there and tell people you did it and look like you're famous.
I had you're familiar with the Philly band Marat?
Yeah.
Marat, those guys.
Well, we played with Underground Saints.
Yeah.
Jazz Cafe.
Jazz Cafe. Yeah. But like we went over to Dave's house years ago. And those guys were laughing because I forget the producer. He was kind of like a Steve Earle right-hand man guy they worked with, you know. Mm-hmm. And he said he had this rule in the studio. He said every track over 24 tracks that you ask for, you have to give $100 to Music Cares. Every track you want over 24, you got to give me $100, and I'm donating it to Music Cares.
Hey, and listen, I am not shitting on technology. Technology, you know, it helps you move. Like I've worked with some incredible Pro Tools engineers and people but it's a balance, right? Everything that we've talked about is a balance.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to walk on the sidewalk before you can walk out onto the street. So like, yeah, you learn the rules, and then you have this technology and you utilize it all and to make a cake that, you know, isn't ridiculously sweet or like a brick or, you know, and you could utilize that technology. Like, again, like, yeah, that you don't have to, there's better technology than a T-square nowadays. And there's these, you know, laser levels that they have, but they still show up with them and they're using them.
Yeah.
But if you're going to not understand that stuff and just think that like, oh, well, someone else will do that for me, or, you know, you're going to learn pretty fast that like, you may get lucky to a certain point, but then after that, it's like, I don't know. Like, and I'm not trying to be the old guy being like, oh, you don't deserve to be here because you don't know this or you don't know that. Yeah. But eventually you should learn it. Like if you get to a certain point, you don't know it. You should be curious enough because there's tons of shit I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And every time, like I said, every time I go into the studio now, I'm like trying to learn and better myself because I'm appreciative of being there. And even like now with, you know, the sessions that I've been doing with Roy for Epidemic, like, I mean, I know that now it's also like too, like there's a nice amount of money involved. So I even more so want to like do the absolute, I always want to do the best job, but like it's even more pressure to make sure that, because I don't want to lose the job now.
Yeah.
Because like they could be like, you know, at any moment they could be like, no, he's not really the guy for this track, and like take me off the track. I don't want that to happen because it is a great side gig to have, and it's really amazing to be a part of this stuff or a part of the stuff that we're doing currently now. Like, you know, that is like more so like we get to do it for ourselves, which is amazing too. You know, going out and playing a round of golf like some people do, or, you know, flying somewhere to play a round of golf in Scotland because that's their thing. It's like, yeah, well, this is our thing.
Yes, this is our golf.
Yeah, this is our golf. You know? And
we're professional golfers. That's what we are.
Well, think about it. And that's why I think it's hilarious, going back to what I said earlier about like when some of these younger bands stand there and they don't bring anybody, and it's like, well, why aren't we getting paid? It's like, listen, man, you first of all, like I always equate it to golf. Like how many people get to go out and play on a golf course and get paid? There's people that pay thousands of dollars just to play golf. Yeah. It's like, no, it's a privilege to play your own music for a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour.
To a bunch of people.
To a bunch of people. Now, playing 3 hours to a bar in order to sell more drinks, that's a different story. I don't know how those worlds got lumped together. Yeah. You know, like when I owned Carl Hall, I owned a golf course. That's the way I looked at it. And sometimes professionals would come to play at the golf course where I want to make sure the greens are perfect and everything's great. And then sometimes it was more like a municipal course where people came to learn golf. Yeah. Or some folks came and they're like, yeah, they're a great player, but they never became pro. You know, and it was like all encompassing, and that's what it was there for. It was there for the community. It was there for, but then the folks that like thought, well, hey, you're making money, I should be making money too. It's like, do you know how much this costs to run a place like this? Do you not? And you know, it's like, there's the art thing. So if you want the art thing and you want to be a musician, that's all well and good. But once you start talking business, you better understand it. If you want to get in that pool, like, because if you don't, I'm going to try to teach you. I mean, because you don't know what you don't know. But then with the internet nowadays and the way people start barking up a tree, and then they start looking a little like you shouldn't have done that. A gentleman did that about a week or two ago, who used to be in a major band. Stereo Gum put it out. And the guy kind of looked like a big jackass. Yeah. Because he didn't understand a settlement and why the club couldn't pay him. And like, it was all there. And it's like, bud, this is the business side of it. If you don't get this, if you don't understand why then you should have never said anything, because you didn't, that really didn't look good that you did that. Wow. And it did. I mean, it was on, you know, it was on Threads and everywhere. And I read the thing. Like, it took me all of 10 minutes to be like, after reading through everything, it's like, this guy's really, he made himself look like an idiot. Yeah. By saying, I didn't get paid. It's like, well, yeah, you couldn't. And you didn't. Where was your contract? Where was your, you know, you didn't have a guarantee. Of course you didn't get paid. Enough people did not come for you to get fucking paid. Like, you're an adult. Like, how did you not read? It's not even the fine print. It's just like, how do you not know? Because he was in a major band and he got lucky where he didn't have to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
And that is a massive privilege.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
Like, you won the lottery.
Yeah, you won.
Like, you and I know people that like won the lottery in that sense. And then when it came time to this other stuff, they didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And it is what it is, but then learn it, understand it, and move forward.
Right on.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, we're gonna cut off right here. That's a good spot to do it. Like, basically, be yourself. You know, it's kind of a lot of the to conclude, be yourself. It's kind of like you're going along. Hopefully, it's really not up to you where it goes or where it lands.
No.
You know, you got to get a little lucky, all those kind of things. But, you know, we're all kind of part of this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're all part of this big, long song. And we want to know as much about the earlier verses as we can. And we want to be ourselves and take what came before us and add to it and move down the line and then navigate this shit show.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really well, that's a good spot to stop for number one here. So
Cool.
let's do it.
This podcast was produced by Stone State Entertainment.